City council's in a way is the board of directors of the city office. Yeah, we need the most of the improving stuff that comes out of it. Mayor and city council. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Good evening. Could I get all the Kenneths to join me in the anterior room over here for a moment? Thank you. We have a few stragglers working their way through the parking lot, so we're going to give it a couple of minutes here. Good evening, everybody. Hopefully we can hear fine. Picking up everything? Great. Okay. Good evening. My name is Josh Walters. I am the recent past president for the Deer Park Rotary Club and a citizen of Deer Park. I will be your moderator tonight for the town hall. We're going to jump straight into this thing, so if you'll please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And because this is a Rotary-hosted event and a great organization that we love, we're going to go ahead and recite the four-way test. If you're not familiar with that, that is an ethical measurement that Rotary uses for everything they do that dates back to 1938. So you do not have to follow along or recite with me, but if you'll follow along, you can. The four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you. All right, we want to say thank you. I guess I shouldn't walk away from the mic since we're live streaming this. So I want to say thank you to everyone for being here this evening. To our candidates, thank you for coming and committing to the process and putting forth time and effort to run for city council and support our community. In regards to our format, we have chosen the town hall style format, giving all candidates equal time to prepare for the event. While we are not taking public comment in this forum, I would encourage you to take notes and reach out to specific candidates via email, phone, or social media with your follow-up questions. Prior to the event, the candidates have just randomly drawn to determine the sequence of which they will go. We will begin in order of number 1 through 5 and rotate through with different folks having different opportunities to start with their questions. Each candidate on our introduction here will have 5 minutes or up to 5 minutes. So if candidate number 1, D. Craig, will you please come to the stage and introduce yourself to the community?
I have to come up here.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank goodness I'm on the spotlight. Anyway, my name is Helen D. Craig, and I go by D. Helen's my mother's name. Anyway, one reason I'm running one more time, I've been on the council now for 23, 24 years, but I have 2 projects that I want to see to come to fruition, and I would dearly appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Dee. Candidate number 2, Diane Feffley.
Good evening. My name's Diane Feffley. I've lived in the Deer Park area since August of 2002. I lived up north about 5 miles out of Deer Park. In 2019, I moved down into Deer Park Meadows off Main Street. I can remember watching that being built and being horrified by all those houses going in there. And I ended up living there. And I love it there. I started going to the city council with my friend Sandy, my neighbor, because we were interested in having chickens. And I've been doing that for about a year now, going to city council meetings. And I was just got interested in the city, how it's growing, how I'd like to see it grow. I think it's a great little town, and I would like to help manage it grow into a good town. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Candidate number 3, Billy Costello.
Hey everybody, my name is Billy Costello. Oops. I own the State Farm office here in town. Took over for Ed Bryan in September 2018, so it's been 5 years. Good to see you in the stands, Ed. Thank you for being here. I'm going to come out and say it because I know people hate it. I was born in California. I had no choice in that, but I did get to choose where I wanted to raise my family and start a business. So we chose Deer Park. We love the small town community. My wife Amber and I just celebrated 15 years on September 26th, right? Something like that, yeah. We have 3 kids. Catherine's 12. She goes to Deer Park Middle School. Brooklyn is 10. She goes to Arcadia. And then Nolan is 8, and he goes to Arcadia as well. I decided to run. I ran 2 years ago, didn't win. This year, I hope I win. No one's running against me. I have a lot invested in this community. Being a small business owner, I'm going to be here for 30 plus years. I have kids, raising my family here. I just want to see this town grow, and I'm not the type of person that just likes to sit on the sidelines. I like to be up there in front and make changes within. So thank you for being here tonight. Hope I can get your vote.
Thank you, Billy. Candidate number 4, Mr. Fred Sen.
Good evening. I want to, first of all, thank the Rotary Club for holding this event. And I want to thank Dee for her 2 decades plus service to the community. And I want to thank you folks for showing up. And all the folks that may see this proceeding. The reason I'm running is because I'm kind of a little frustrated, disappointed that we don't seem to get something accomplished that we probably should. We're a growing community. We've got increased service needs. One of the things that I was concerned about and has for some time is the splash pad. I know Dee's running that. I think she was in part assigned a project to research the ins and outs of that, but I just don't see we're progressing like we should. And what I would want to happen is that to keep this a small community, we're forever growing. We're going to be reaching 5,000 soon. And it's my understanding with that increase at that level, we'll be able to get 2 more council members. So we'll have a total of 7 because you want an odd number anyway. Tie would then go to the mayor for the final decision on something like that. So we won't have a tie. But I'm prior military. I served a little over 20 years in the Air Force. I've been a lot of different places, done a lot of activity. When I worked in logistics, my responsibility was mobility, manning, facilities, war planning. I did base reception plans. I did a lot of activity. I took deployments out to various countries. I've been assigned to 3 states, long-term service there, and I was deployed on my mobility commitments to another 6. So I've got a wide range of experience, and it's been my experience through all that is that people are people, no matter what color, race, culture they belong to. They have core values, and I think we all share those here. To have a family, to have the best opportunities for the children, and to have safety and be free. And I think that's what we should focus here. We have some political differences, but as far as I'm concerned, it's all mine. The role of the council service member is the people. And again, I appreciate your attendance, and I look forward to answering the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Candidate number 5, Scott Campbell.
Hi, I'm Scott. I want to thank the Rotary for putting this on for us, for allowing us to talk to the people that are here and on the internet. I was born in California, not my fault, please. I've lived 15 years in the Las Vegas area, some 10 to 15 years in the Arizona, California area, along the Colorado River. Spent 20 years in Hawaii. Moved to the Northwest in 2010. I lived in Post Falls for about 9 years. I've been here since 2019. The reason why I'm running is I'd like to help the people of Deer Park. I see Deer Park growing, and I want to kind of nudge it forward. I'd like to see the council and the city act a lot faster on issues instead of kind of putting them off. I want the city council to be proactive, and I would also like to have, if you want to come talk to me, come talk to me. If you want to email me, email me. I do want to have a lot of opinions, so I can see what the people of Deer Park is, and it's been a privilege to knock on doors, talk to people, and what I see and have heard at that point in time is people want more security, and they would like things for their children to do, and that's what I hope to push forward if I get elected to the city council, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, candidates, for your introductions there. We're going to move into roundtable 1. So the next 5 questions, each candidate has been provided for advanced, about 10 days notice here. They've given the opportunity to prepare their answers, and we are going to change up our rotation a little bit. Everyone will have up to 3 minutes to respond. So candidate 2 will start this round. Candidate number 2 is Diane. Question is, share 2 of your key principles or beliefs about how city government should be run and give an example for how these principles would apply to your role as a council member.
Well, I ended up with more than 2. I thought, to be honest, consistent and flexible. Don't play games. Use common sense. Don't use the position for personal gain or political gain. I think honesty and consistency and communication are some of the things that really need to come forward with the city council. And I think that I could be honest. I know I can be honest. And I think that I have common sense. And those are the things that would help me. I'm nervous. I apologize. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Up next, candidate number 3, Billy Costello. I'll read the question again for you. Share 2 of your key principles or beliefs about how city government should be run and give an example for how these principles would apply to your role as a council member.
Yeah, so, second time running, the most common question I get is, are you, what party affiliation are you? It's a nonpartisan position, right? The one thing I love, what I want to go into is in, city government is just having that open mind, right? So you're doing what's best for the town, having an open mind, being willing to change your mind if the facts say you're wrong. My wife tells me all the time I'm wrong. I'm used to it. So just to be open-minded, willing to, not have this agenda where, straight line. I'm willing to go a little curvy if it makes sense and people prove me wrong. I'm willing to listen. So open-mindedness is the first one. Second one is communication. I've been a very regular at city council meetings. I was on a planning commission. I'm currently the chamber president. And even as involved as I've been, it's hard to get all the facts and all the information out there. So I would love to see more open communication within our city council and our city government. Facebook is a great thing. It's also a terrible thing. You can't get all your facts off of that. I would love to see more communication within our city council. They talked about having, a weekly letter or a monthly letter that goes out with all the information that comes out, just telling people what's going on in our city. Don't fall for what you see on social media and online. So, the second thing is just having open communication, listening, and expressing what's going on. So,
Thank you, Billy. Candidates, a quick reminder, you do have water under your chair, so if you use it up or need it, let me know and I'll get you another one. No, you're good? Fred, I'll read the question again for you, sir. Share 2 of your key principles or beliefs about how city government should be run and give an example for how these principles would apply to your role as a council member.
Well, first and foremost, I think transparency. You got to have it. Before the council, it was voted to assign an email account to each member. That got downvoted 3-2. So I'm thinking, well, why would that got downvoted? Why wouldn't you want transparency? The cost is minimal, but the benefits are substantial because it's a public account then. It's not like your own personal email. If I request from a constituent about a specific topic they were interested in, and I said that I would move on it, I would introduce it, and I didn't, then that's accountability that should be addressed. So I would vote for that. I would vote for the transparency and the email account. Again, I don't know why that was even an issue. And we need more outreach. I think when you go to City Hall, for instance, and you've got a councilman present or the mayor, you should introduce, if you don't know that person, introduce yourself. I'm a big youth proponent, and we need to make sure services are there for the youth. We need to get safety involved. And I'm all for contacting the sheriff department, seeing what we can do to increase visibility, have volunteers to maybe periodically go to those areas and make sure they're safe. Because we, us parents and grandparents would like to know that our kids are safe. I think those two are the ones I would submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Scott. Question is, share 2 of your key principles or beliefs about how city government should be run, and give an example for how these principles would apply to your role as a council member.
I would like to see the city government speed up a little bit. In other words, not take so long to enact different ordinances, do things like make the park safer, have more officers on the street. The way I can help affect that is by listening to the people, see what the people want, be available so they can come talk to me. If they just happen to see me at Yokes or any of the businesses in town, I'd love to have you talk to me or email me. I'll be open to conversations with people about almost anything about the city government. I'd like to be there, and I'd like to be a consensus maker so we can get things done and get things done faster. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Candidate 1D. And the question, again, share 2 of your key principles or beliefs about how city council should be run, and give an example for how these principles would apply to your role as a council member.
Could I get you to repeat that?
Yes, ma'am. Share 2 of your key principles or beliefs about how city government should be run, and give an example for how these principles would apply to your role as a council member.
Okay, number 1. Our city council is governed by how the U.S. government is run, very minutely. But we have the executive session, legislative, legislative and financial. The mayor has the control of City Hall and its employees. Legislative, we make new resolutions or new information goes into our city books and so forth and so on. That's that job we do there. Financial, we have control of all monies. We are the last word. And when we do our job right, we go out and get information, we question, we do our homework. And it sometimes takes me 20 hours a week to do that, which is fine. I'll put in 40 hours. It's just part of the job. But what more can I say? I'm very proud of our City Hall and very proud of our employees. We couldn't ask for better people. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Appreciate that. All right, question number 2. We're going to be starting with candidate number 3, Billy. Your question to start us off on this one is, what do you anticipate will be the most challenging aspect of working within the city council, and how do you plan to overcome this particular challenge?
I think the biggest thing, as was mentioned before, is the time it takes for things to happen, right? It's such a slow process. Being able to trust that process, to build relationships, to, like Dee said, just do your homework all the time on all these issues that you have. I mean, remember running, the one thing people want are, chickens. I mean, it's not like you can snap your fingers and just tomorrow everybody has chickens here, right? You got to go through the comprehensive plan. You got to make what are we going to base it based off of, square footage of your house, no roosters, all these things need to go into it. So it's not like something you can just snap your fingers and it happens. And I'm not a very patient person. So having to deal and go through that process and explain that to citizens too, because a lot of citizens don't realize that it takes so much time and effort to make these things happen. So I think the biggest thing for me, the most difficult thing is going to be slowing things down and knowing that, hey, it's going to take some time to get things done. But I'm going to do my best to make things happen as fast as possible. So.
Thank you, Billy. Next up is Fred. Fred, that question again. What do you anticipate will be the most challenging aspect of working within the city council, and how do you plan to overcome this particular challenge?
Well, I thought about that for a while. I don't know what the challenge, I'm not sure anything that would come up that would be a detriment to working with the fellow council members. I agree with what the preceding person had said about delay in it. People maybe don't understand the logistics of it all, but with that in mind, though, I just think that we need to be committed and focused to achieve the agenda that we set forward for. And if it's a good policy, we've got coordination from the public, we know that's what they want, we should focus on that until it's achieved. So I think I worked well within the council, a meeting of the minds. I'm kind of somebody that works well with people. I've had good experiences with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Scott? What do you anticipate will be the most challenging aspect of working within the city council? How do you plan to overcome this particular challenge?
Well, I think the challenge will be coming to a consensus with my fellow council members if I get elected, and I would, through that, we can study the issues, help each other out, possibly bring more businesses into the city, get things that our children can do, and just basically build a consensus, work hard, know the issues, study the issues, and then have the five of us talk together and get together with the public and get their input. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Next up is Dee. Dee, the question is, what do you anticipate will be the most challenging aspect of working within the city council, and how do you plan to overcome this particular challenge?
Number one, working with the city council, you have to learn, you have to relax. Leave your ego, your political persuasions at the door, because you are no longer portraying yourself, you're speaking for the citizens. That is your main goal. In fact, it's basically the biggest goal is taking care of our people. And what was the rest of the question?
How do you plan to overcome that particular challenge?
Well, number one, right now we have a perfect council, because nobody really agrees with anybody else, but we have the ability to come together and discuss it, and we can come out with some really beautiful solutions. And that's the number one goal, is be ready to work with each other, because we're a team. We're not individuals, we're a team. Thank you.
Thank you. Last person to answer this question, Diane. Diane, the question was, what do you anticipate will be the most challenging aspect of working within the city council, and how do you plan to overcome this particular challenge?
I think the most challenging aspect of working with the city council will be priorities. Which priority are we going to address, and how are we going to address it? Coming to a consensus, everyone having input into why they think this is a good idea or a bad idea. I think every council member needs to express their feelings at the council meetings so that the citizens know why people are voting for or against something. I believe that communication is just so important, and to get a cohesive plan together to start to speed up some of these things that have been going on for a year now. But communication is going to be, I think, the biggest challenge.
Thank you, Diane. Next question, and we will start this question with Fred. Fred, the question is, based on your experience in Deer Park, what are the 3 most significant needs that should be addressed immediately?
Well, as I alluded to before, safety. You've got to have, we're going to provide services for the community. You've got to provide safety. I went to Scott's house the other night, and he wasn't home. But I glanced at the park, and I noticed there's one kid giving something to another kid. So I've known children to go to the park, and some of them are afraid to go to the park because activities that go on at the park. And I understand of late there's been some concern within the council to do what I suggested earlier, and that contact security to maybe uptick their surveillance. But also volunteering, maybe do that, but also maybe install another light. I looked at the park just last night and put a camera in there, and maybe border fencing, but I'd be glad to talk to the council if elected to look at the cost and the benefits of that. And just provide safety for our kids. The second thing I talked about is transparency. We've got to have that. Engagement. We need to get more people involved. Again, I appreciate you folks being here. I was disappointed, though, not to see more. That might be something that I would look at to get more people involved. Different ideas, brainstorm. The council members we'd brainstorm, and I think we would come to, I would like to think, we'd come to agreements on principles, certain things, and then proceed on with that. I think if people listen to somebody long enough, there's something that they'll read with. We're so divisive that it's hard to do that sometimes. People tune people out. First impression, it means a lot, but I think people need to back up a little bit and listen, be more attentive to needs. Certainly if I'm appointed, I would make that an effort to not only listen to the constituents, but also the council members to arrive at a consensus that we could move forward on. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Scott? Question again, based on your experience in Deer Park, what are the 3 most significant needs that should be addressed immediately?
The first one I'd like to address is possibly getting maybe a new community center built with possibly an indoor basketball court, weight room, meeting rooms and stuff. Have people there so the youth can go there instead of just wandering the streets or racing up and down the roads. Number 2, I'd like to see more public safety. In other words, maybe more officers on the streets. Just that, and also the third one I'd like to see is more industry coming to town. Something like maybe Night Industries, where they build a product that goes nationwide or goes to even different countries. I'd like to see us get some of that in town to have more jobs, so maybe the children will be able to stay here instead of having to move out to go somewhere to get a good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Dee, you're up next for this question. And I'll read it again for you. Based on your experience in Deer Park, what are the 3 most significant needs that should be addressed immediately?
Number 1, I am not aware of anything that needs to be addressed immediately. I think the city has done well. I mean, we've just taken care of everything. There's nothing on the board right now. And we're really lucky. One thing I would like to see is Parents Field. I'd like a water feature in there with paths, more tables, hopefully a couple of enclosed areas with at least a roof so people can picnic there. It's not a place for children playing anymore, and basically it's adults, senior citizens especially. I live right across the street, and I'm just amazed at the people that use that park. And I think it would be a good thing to get it done. I've had it on the back burner for so long. That's one of the things I want to see completed. And before I forget, thank you, Fred, for your comments. I appreciate it. That's it.
Thank you, Dee. Diane? Again, the question, based on your experience in Deer Park, what are the 3 most significant needs that should be addressed immediately?
First and foremost, I think is economic development. I think that we need to bring more retail businesses. I think there's a growing need for a grocery store, another grocery store. I would like to see some more light industrial go out by the airport, if we could do that. Recreation for our youth would be good. A community center would be a good start, and I think that some sort of indoor facility where people could go in the winter would be great. I was thinking maybe we could open the golf course up for some cross-country skiing. And the third thing that I would like to see is more communication between council members and more communication out to our constituents about what we're doing and what they would like to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Billy, to finish out this question, once again, based on your experience in Deer Park, what are the 3 most significant needs that should be addressed immediately?
Yeah, I think number one, most important thing in city government is making sure that our community is safe. We recently, the council did a great job of negotiating our contract with the Sheriff's Department. We got another deputy out here. I think we have a 4th one that's going to come out here. So my biggest thing is with our population is growing, we see all the houses being built, we're going to need a bigger police presence. Whether that is continuing our contract with the Spokane County Sheriff's Office, which, honestly, it's, I've heard different numbers and things thrown out there, but there's some times in my life, my wife will tell you that, I start this project and I go online and I watch YouTube and I fix something, and it takes me about 10 trips to Home Depot and 10 times more than it would have cost if I just would have called a professional up front. So, I really believe in Spokane County Sheriff's Department. I think the quality police officers. I've got a great relationship with Sheriff Knowles. He has endorsed me in this campaign, and I think that we can get a better police presence growing up. And, I think I'm not going to answer that question on the next one that we have, Josh. But so increased police presence is my number one priority. The second thing is the ADUs and verbos and short-term rentals. Why is that not legal in town? I mean, we have no hotel, we have no place for people to stay. We have people come here for weddings. We've got beautiful land, and there's no place for people to stay. And I think that's, I know we're talking about that comprehensive plan, but not having accessory dwelling units or verbos or Airbnbs is something that I think needs to get changed right away. And then, kind of as Diane said too, the third thing that I have is communication. I'm a millennial. I grew up in an age of communication, and I think it's so outdated that we don't have emails for people to communicate with. I think every council member should have, people should have direct access to council members without using their personal devices. And, city council meetings, having things streamed, like the Gazette's doing right now. People that are, have disabilities and hearing impaired, and just having the ability for people to tune in and watch things.
are moving along well. The next question should be a quick one, as I've heard it alluded to quite a few times here. Scott, you're starting us off with question 4. Name 2 public projects you would vote in favor of taking on public debt to solve, and provide your perspective accordingly.
I would like to see, I think what we could do is, do a bond for something like Billy and I have been talking about, a community center, and also Diane spoke about it a little bit. A rather project with, like I said, with indoor basketball courts, an inside weight room, meeting rooms, having maybe a volunteer there or an employee to make sure everything is done, correctly and doesn't get out of hand inside the building and stuff. That was one thing I'd like to see. Then possibly in the future have an indoor pool. If the people would like to have an indoor pool, if we get a large enough population to have an indoor pool, that would be kind of 2 of the ones that I'd like to see done. And also, I want to kind of add a third one. I'd like to see something done with the city hall. I think the city hall needs to be updated and improved in some fashion. It's about outlived its usefulness, and I think in the near future something will have to be done. And that will be a project that is so large that it will require a bond. But I don't want to bury the town in too many bonds where there's too much money owed, the property taxes go up and things like that too. I don't want to see that. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Dee, you're up next for this question. The question is, name 2 public projects you would vote for in favor of taking on public debt to solve.
Okay, number 1, I have vowed that I would not allow new taxes. There's just no way, unless it's a dire emergency and it affects the lives of our citizens. Yes, that I would endorse. But other than that, projects like everybody's talking about can be done through bonds. I mean, through, okay, I lost a word.
Grants, maybe?
Thank you.
Yes.
Through grants and contractors giving up their time and so forth and contributing that way. Those can be handled that way. But unless, if it's a dire emergency, yes, I would vote for it. But it has to be a dire emergency for the citizens of Deer Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Diane, you're up next on this question. Again, the question is, name 2 public projects you would vote in favor of taking on public debt to solve.
Well, I sort of agree with Dee. I think before we went and asked for a levy or taxes, we would have to exhaust all outside funding resources, because they're just taxes are going to kill us. The things that I would do, if I was going to do it, would be a community center. They would offer maybe basketball courts, meeting room. I'd like to see a kitchen where we could maybe rent it out and they could use it for other things. Also, I think eventually we're going to have to do a city hall, but I think what was proposed, we could scale way back on that and fund it with maybe some outside grants and ease the tax burden. Thank you.
Thank you. Billy. Once again, name 2 public projects you would vote in favor of taking on public debt to solve.
Number 1, sports complex. Our sports fields are, I don't know if you guys have been to Dwight Merkle Field there. You got the skate park out in front, you got 4 fields there, you got a playground, you got a snap bar, you got all these things. You do soccer, you do volleyball, you do baseball, little leagues, night softball. If if we had something like that to make us more of a destination place for people to come and we're a little bit stickier, you know, our biggest attraction is the golf course. People come for a few hours and then leave. But if we had a place where we could host tournaments on weekends, it would be so beneficial to our community, our businesses. You know, people talk about going grocery stores, going hotels. You know, you don't want the government to run those things, but we have the ability to entice businesses to want to invest in Deer Park. So if we had a tournament where people could come for all different sporting events and just grow that, you know, it would be so good on our economy. You know, I love how many people come out here for the 4th of July fireworks. But what's terrible about that is that, you know, in the last couple hours, people are gone. Most businesses are closed, so it really doesn't help our economy out too much. So I would love to see something more of a tourist attraction like a sports complex, something for our kids to do, and bring people to town and help our small businesses out, and help bring in those, you know, economic development of these grocery stores, hotels, restaurants, things like that. Number 2, you know, like I said before, sometimes it's better to check. And I'm no expert in the police department. You know, I know a lot of people want to be a police presence. I do too. I know there's a keep up contract or start our own. And I'm not an expert. I have no idea. Like I said, quality is something that with police protection is something that I'm willing to pay a little bit more for. But I think we should just pay for a study. I was watching Crunch News this morning, and I think it's the city of Hayden is going through that process right now of determining if they need to have a police force or keep their contract with county sheriff's office. So, yeah, sports complex number 1, and then also spend the money, just have an expert tell us, is it feasible for us to do our own police department, or are we getting a good deal with the county sheriff's office? So.
Thank you, Billy. Frank. That question again was, name 2 public projects you would vote for in favor of taking on public debt to solve.
Well, let's talk about this a little bit. And before I would go to that extent, I know a little bit about budgets. When I was in the service, it was part of my duties that I compiled budgets. We had a fraud, waste, and abuse division. I was in charge of that. We had reporting constantly to and from the various units. So I'm aware of the debits and credits entailed in the budget. But I'm more for the engagement of the community and for volunteers where appropriate. At the last resort, I think we should borrow money. We've got surplus now. We've got money set aside for projects. We're not spending it. We're waiting on a rainy day like today, I guess. You can be conservative, but you can be too conservative. And I think the council's position has been in the past a little bit of a rainy day scenario. We've got the money that's in our coffers. It's a surplus. It's there. We're not benefiting from it sitting there. We need to allocate it to the best of our ability. But like Billy was saying, I'm big on sports, the facilities. I'm not sure about, I'd have to do more research and with the assistance of the fellow council members. I would task out volunteers to be like a subcommittee, and maybe each council member could be a lead point on that, to obtain information that we need, outreach to citizens, and then do a feasibility study, which I've done many of in the service, to look at all facets, get pros and cons to the issues, but get a consensus, and I would work to that end. And I would listen to the citizens as well as the council members, because like I said before, the more you listen to somebody, the more you're going to hear something you agree with. So at this point, I'm not committed to say what I would fund, would have to borrow for. Look at it over there. And grants are great, but you got to be real too on it. If we applied and I talked to the leading city manager, Roger, and he was telling me that we're forever going to surplus because we've got ever-growing community with ever increasing budget to spend on. So use our money wisely, stay in the black like we've been, but allocate funds for projects when we have it. And each project that we have is usually an overlay involved, so we've got some protections there anyway. So my contention is that we should spend the money as we have it, but keep that budget where we want it to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Okay, everyone's doing really well. In the essence of time here, to be a little more concise, I'm going ahead and skip question 5 on our prepared questions to end roundtable 1. Unless I have any of you candidates that are feeling heartburn over that, we're going to go ahead and just skip the last question on the first roundtable. By show of hands, anybody? Okay. Starting with roundtable 2, so for those at home watching and those here watching live, these questions have been submitted through our local community. The candidates have not seen these questions in advance, so they've had no real time to prepare. And so we're going to go ahead and jump straight into those. Generally try to keep it around 3 minutes. I'm not going to blatantly interrupt you, but I'll just kind of keep an eye over here and maybe give you a wave. So starting off with, it's going to be Billy starting off this round. First question's for you, Billy. Billy, sorry, didn't realize you couldn't hear me. Roundtable 2, first question. Over the years, Deer Park has aged and it seems to need both maintenance and improvements. Much of the beautification is left up to the private entities and businesses, which are rarely held accountable. Do you support the City of Deer Park investing more towards the appearance and improvements in the community?
100%. Being on the chamber, one of our biggest tasks this year is the beautification of our front porch. Jennifer Shores, who's heading our economic development, has done a great job with that. We've been, the chamber, we're working with Doug Lilly and getting these flower plants out into our storefronts and just making it, it's, my business on Main Street, and we just, it's beautiful now. It's starting to get way better. The paint jobs that are going out there, all the things that are outside, it's just so many businesses coming to town. So the spending money to make our town beautiful is 100% on board. And I know that, we've been working with, as a chamber, Mayor Tim, Jennifer, and myself, we had a Zoom call with professionals from Retail Strategies, and, they're a company that comes in here and helps with that beautification of the front porch and enticing businesses to come to town and just spruce some things up a little bit. So, I'm the type of person that, I'll tell you, my lawn's always green, it's always cut short, and I just, that when people first come to town, I want them to feel welcomed, to feel like this town is pretty beautiful. We've also been working on the chamber, this is kind of outside the city limits, but everybody talks about the 2 roundabouts on 395 with the native weeds that are out there. It's out of the city limits, but the chamber we have working with Washtenaw on finding ways to spruce that up a little bit, because that's the first thing people see when they come to town. And it's I don't care if it's native or not, I think it's not pretty. So, I'm all over spending money to make things a little bit nicer.
Thank you, Billy. Fred, back to you on this question. Over the years, Deer Park has aged and seems to need both maintenance and improvements. Do you support the City of Deer Park investing more towards the appearance and improvements of the community?
Well, that's an obvious question, I think we all do here. My fellow council members would concur with that. When I was in the service in 72, that goes way back when, and I've known Deer Park because I come here when I was on leave, periodically through all that time. I would like to see, like Billy was saying, when you come into the Deer Park city limits, to have a little bit more presence of, Deer Park. It used to be all we had was you're in city limits and this is the population. That's okay, but we need to have more, make it more inviting to come to Deer Park. And somebody was proposing that we put in flowers, but the maintenance of that is just not practical. We can't stop progression, we can't stop expansion, it's everywhere. As long as you've got employment, a community with employment, you're gonna have expansion. So we just plan for the future, make accommodations to accommodate the influx of folks. So that's what I would do. I'd be more outgoing and more welcoming folks to come and give us their ideas of how we can improve. Because sometimes people have better ideas than we do because we overlook what's right in front of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Question goes to Scott next. I'll repeat it for you. Over the years, Deer Park has aged and seems to need both maintenance and improvements. Much of the beautification is left up to the private entities and businesses. Do you support the City of Deer Park investing more towards the appearance and improvements of the community?
Absolutely. I would like to see, like Fred has been talking about, and also Billy, the entrance to the cities, the traffic circles and stuff like that, beautified, maybe something done as you driving off 395 from the south and also coming in 395 from the north or coming from Riverside into town. I'd like to see something done that's more welcoming to the people that are coming to the community, because a lot of those people are coming to spend time here, maybe come to the stores, and I think beautifying it would help the people maybe stay longer, be more welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Dee, that question is up to you next. Over the years, Deer Park has aged and seems to need both maintenance and improvements. Much of the beautification is left up to the private entities and businesses. Do you support the City of Deer Park investing more towards the appearance and improvements of the community?
Okay, as a council member for the City of Deer Park, basically we leave that up to the chamber, because it has to do with businesses. We like to keep our nose out of that. But, you know, the shop makers, the people that want to come, you know, if they want to change things, all they have to do is come to the council. Maybe we can find a path for them to do that. Frankly, I love the way it looks right now, just coming into Deer Park, and I'm very proud of it. Very proud of it. That's it.
Thank you, Dee. Diane? To abbreviate slightly, do you support the City of Deer Park investing more towards the appearance and improvements of the community?
Yes, I do. I really do. I've noticed, though, that some of the businesses have started to spruce up their buildings. Scully's did a nice job on the building they took over. And there's a couple of the Wine Vine and the local have done well for the city, and Billy has done a nice job. So we are seeing some improvement, but I think there is room for more improvement, and maybe the citizens need to let our merchants know that we would enjoy seeing a little fresh paint or whatever. I don't know if the city council can do anything to help them, give them loans or find an opportunity for them to put a new sign or a new paint job. That's something that we could look into. But, yeah, Deer Park still needs to do a little bit more sprucing up. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. The next question we've heard alluded to, it looks like we're on to Fred to start this question off. Fred, the question is Is saving and remodeling our historic city hall a priority for you? Why or why not?
You want to say it? I'm sorry, you want to
Is,
say it?
yes, no worries there. Is saving or remodeling our historic city hall a priority for you?
Well, as most contestants here today have indicated about the City Hall, it is in a sad state. I'm not sure, it's kind of a big investment. As most people know, that City Hall used to be the high school. So it's a building, it's kind of a monument, if you will, to Deer Park. So that has to be looked at. And there's no easy solution to that because it's a big project. You either remodel to some extent, but you got structural issues to look at. So it's a little bit of involvement to, I think, come to a consensus on that. Back to the, if I could, back to the community and its appearance. What I would like to do, and I hope I get support, would be to look at homes that need to run down. They need a paint job. They need car removals in some case. To talk to those owners, see if we could work something out where the city could assist them to improve their appearance. And my way of thought is that maybe volunteers could come in too, and maybe have a city get together. I think that's part of the small community we're looking for. Would be to have engagement. The people, we could task them, maybe we could come up with some money for paint, get some scrapers, do the things we need to do to maybe assist these people that maybe just simply don't have the funds to do it. I think that would go a long way with the community closeness that we're all trying to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Scott. Question is saving or remodeling the historic city hall a priority for you? Why or why not?
Yes, I think we should save it, and I think it probably should be redone a little bit so it will last for the future. I think probably it's going to be such a large project that a bond will have to be voted on to do it, and we would need a lot of input from the community to do so. We've had a committee that's been looking at the issue for the last year and a half or so, and yeah, I would be in favor of remodeling it. I don't want to see the building go away. I want us to retain the historical value of that building and what it means to Deer Park, but I do believe that we're going to need to do some remodeling and fixing up so we'll be, so we can use it in the future. And I think probably now might be the time to do something like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Dee? The question again. And as a reminder, please direct your answer into the microphone up there on the podium. I think that'll help. Is saving or remodeling our historic city hall a priority for you? Why or why not?
Okay, number one, I have two issues with that. I was one of the conspirators to get rid of the old community center that was no longer being able to be used. I paid for that emotionally. I would not touch City Hall other than to improve it. I mean, you could remodel it. The building is basically strong. We just redid the top and had the bricks repaired, and I just say remodel it and keep it. There's a lot of people around this community that really appreciate it here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Next up on that question is Diane. Is saving and remodeling our historic city hall a priority for you? Why or why not?
It's not an immediate priority for me. And at the scale that they wanted to do it at, I don't think this town is big enough to support that cost. I have really mixed emotions about City Hall. It's a beautiful piece of property, and I really don't know what I would do. I would have to think about that, but what has been proposed, I would not accept at this time to do. So that would not be a priority. If we could scale that back a little and still keep the building, then I would support that totally. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. All right, Billy, the question was, is saving and remodeling our historic city hall a priority for you? Why or why not?
I talked to Councilman Stapp about this because he's done a great job with this project. I was at the council meeting when they came and presented it. I had a tough time asking taxpayers to put money into the project that's going to cost $18 to $20 million. And it really doesn't provide an immediate benefit to the community. There's so many more things going on. So to answer your question, Josh, no, that will not be a top priority of mine. I think it's something that needs to be addressed eventually within the next decade or so. With the bond levy coming up to school, getting new schools, getting schools rebuilt, I think it's a top priority, and it's supposed to be on the February ballot. And I just don't think that putting something else for the community to vote on to increase your taxes of about, I think right now, if I remember, it's $500 a person per year. With property taxes going up, and the school bond levy coming up, I just don't think that that's a top priority now. Maybe as our population continues to grow, that'll take on some of the benefits, the tax amount that people would have to pay with a higher population, spread it out a little bit more. Like I said, it's a great building, it's a great historic building. I would never like to see it torn down. I think we got a little more time left with it, but yeah, no, it wouldn't be a top priority of mine.
Thank you, Billy. Okay, our goal is to wrap up by 7:45 tonight, and I still have quite a few questions left. So I think as the moderator, what I'm going to do is choose to jump to our last question for this particular round here. Diane, I have you as number 2 starting off this question for us, please. And I can read this a couple of times. You need me to. What specifically will you personally do to communicate with the public? For example, will you publicize your phone number, an email address, or use social media to communicate directly with citizens?
Well, yes, I can give you my phone number, and I would give you an email address that you could use to communicate with me. I would like to see the city start a Facebook page where they talk about what's going on in the city. Sometimes when council people do Facebook, we get one side of the story or the other side of the story. So it's very, very important to me that people that don't attend meetings, because life goes on. These people have children, they have jobs, it's just a lot to come to a city council meeting all the time. But there's got to be somewhere where it's recorded what happened, what was discussed, why people felt the way, council people felt the way that they did, and it's got to be honest and transparent. If I am elected, I will do everything I can to get out to the constituents what the city council is doing and where we stand on it.
Thank you, Diane. Billy, that's back to you next. I'll read that again. What specifically will you personally do to communicate with the public? For For example, will you publicize a phone number, an email address, or use social media to communicate directly with citizens?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my favorite president of all time was Ronald Reagan. He's a great communicator. I gave him communications. We live in a day and age where there's so many things available to us to communicate to people. My cell phone number is published online. I have a Facebook page for my council page. If I get elected, will turn into my city councilman page. My email address is out there. I'm going to be available. I'm going to listen. One thing I would appreciate, I do own a small business on Main Street, and it's very open, but I would appreciate if people kind of respect my office as insurance. That's what I do there. I help my customers out. It's people calling and to talk politics and things in the city when, I'm dealing with 5 people who just lost their homes in the L fires. So please just be respectful. My personal cell phone numbers are out there. I have an email address strictly for city business. So I would just appreciate, just giving me, let me do my business in my business. Text me, call me, I'll be there.
Thank you, Billy. Fred?
You don't need to read it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
With the public, with the internet that we have today, people can track anybody down to contact them. So certainly, as a public figure, I'd have to be accessible and want to be accessible. I am a semi-retired real estate broker. I work out of Eric's Realty, and I, like Billy, to some degree, if I'm there with a client, I wouldn't want somebody to come in and talk city issues. So, other than respect, that would entail. But I'm open to ideas, and I want feedback. So I'm all for access and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Scott? Would you like me to read that again? Okay, thank you.
I have my email address on all my campaign materials, such as my yard signs, the cards that I just sent out. Have my email address, and I do welcome any suggestions that you could email me if you happen to see me, like in Yokes or any other place in town. Stop and talk to me. And I would love to have people come up and say that they need certain things or want certain things. Talk to me about how they might perceive that I'm going to vote on a certain issue. By coming and talking to me, that could possibly change how I might vote on an issue if you bring up something that I hadn't thought about that might be important on a particular vote. And I promise I will be accessible. I will answer any questions that are sent to my email address or addressed to me, if I happen to be, like I said, shopping around. I go out and walk every day, a couple of miles a day now. And if you see me walking on the street, want to stop and talk, I'd be happy to. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. All right, Dee, this is the last question for you tonight. And you have the honor of wrapping up the round of questions for us.
Okay.
Once again, to abbreviate here, what specifically will you personally do to communicate with the public?
What specifically would I do?
Yes, to communicate with the public, the city of Deer Park.
Okay, I place an ad in the Tribune with my phone number. I can't call everybody, but everybody that's interested certainly could call me. All they have to do is call City Hall. My number's there, and it's open to anybody. I don't know what else I could do. I prefer not to use email because there's one stipulation. If people think you have city business on your private, they can request to have all your phone calls, all your emails. And there's a lot of people that are doing that. And I just should stay out of that. My email is private.
Thank you, Dee. I appreciate that. While you're up here, I'm going to let you start the evening closeout. So everyone, we're going to go from start to finish and take 3 minutes and close out your session and address the community to end the evening.
Okay, first of all, thank you guys for coming. It's been a pleasure seeing some faces. Our city, our council meetings are very sparse. People don't come. And that's sad because I'm a people person. I need to talk verbally. That's how I communicate. That's all I got to say. And thank you so much for putting this on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dee. Absolutely our pleasure. Next, Diane. A few minutes to a final address to the community.
Well, I guess in full transparency, I should say I'm also from California. Via New York, Chicago. But in 2002, my husband was laid off from his job, and we decided that we wanted to move from Chicago. So he was born in Richland, and I said I wouldn't live in Richland, so we came out to Spokane, and I fell in love with Spokane. And when I came out to Deer Park and found that little log cabin on 8 acres, I was a goner. And I loved every moment of living in Deer Park. It's been probably the nicest place I've lived. And I just want to say thank you for letting us speak tonight. I want to thank all of you for coming, and take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Billy?
Well, Californians. You know, like I don't know, it's funny. Customers come to my office and they'll move up here and they're like, hey, I want to tell you I'm from California and you change my license plate real quick. And I kind of joke with them a little bit. They see my degree in the background, Cal State Fullerton, and it's one of those notions that, I left California for a reason, okay? I didn't bring California with me. Someone on my Facebook page was asking about that the other day, and really the only things I miss about California are my family. Hey, Mom, if you're watching. My friends, some of my friends, some of my family. And been in Alberta, and, he's an Angels fan, so those are the things I miss most about California. But, my family and I, we chose to be here. My wife and I, we moved up here from Orange County in 2011, 12, to Colbert. Bought our first house in Colbert. And, we had nothing but a mountain of student loan debt, our daughter. I think we had a cat at the time in the car. One cat at that time. I don't know if I can tell you how many cats we have now. I chose to be here. I chose to raise my family here. I chose to open a business here. I believe in this community. I love this. People are talking about, this is becoming a suburb, whatever you want to call it, of Spokane, and it's growing. Yes, I think there's a limit to how much we can grow. And the small town feel, people are saying, oh, we're losing that. I don't think small town feel is just about population, right? It's about people coming together. I mean, you look at these fires that have happened, all these different tragedies that our community has experienced over the last few years. Just watching people line up Miller's one stop, people outside of Double Eagle Pond, just helping people out. I mean, that's what makes a small community to me. It's not about how many people live here. I don't think we're going to get skyscrapers or anything like that anytime soon, but that sense of community, I feel good raising my family here and the values that this town embraces. And, like I said, I'm not just like sit on the sidelines. I want to be in the trenches. I want to make a difference. And so, thank you, Josh, and the Rotary for putting this song together. Thanks for everybody listening. And I hope we can hear your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. Fred?
Well, I have as much divested in Deer Park as probably anybody here. My last tour in the service was a place called Derby, Kansas. And I had a decision at that point, my wife and I, to either stay in service or for me to retire. And my oldest daughter, which is sitting right there, she was a junior in high school and she was entering senior. And we thought we didn't want to be her, just get involved with somebody and live in Derby. Not that we specifically done nothing bad talked them into coming here from different places. I even got my mom to come here. So my whole family's here. So I truly want to see improvement. I think I'm well qualified for the position. I think with my unique experiences and maybe knowledge, when I was in the service all those years, I went through night school with the help of the family and graduated and got, a few degrees. But all of them, I think I can utilize them here in this capacity. So I appreciate your full consideration, and I look forward to working with everybody to improve our society, to make it what it will become, a more inclusive, more welcoming, more engaging community. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Scott, close us out, sir.
Like Billy, I chose to live here with myself and my wife. We love this community. The community has accepted us, allowed us to live here. I think it's a great place to be, and I just want to help improve it. But I want it to stay a small town community value-wise. It's going to grow. We can't stop the growth, but we can guide the growth to go into the proper direction. And I'd like to be a part of that. Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us this evening, both in person and online. I would like to add a special thank you to Deer Park High School, the school district, for allowing us to use the facility in support of Ted Brown, the theater director, and the students who are here tonight with the live stream setup and the production and all the assistance. Thank you again to our candidates. Greatly appreciate you making the time and the effort.